Tuesday the 26th. So now we have a lunge squat. So last week we had lunge press. This time we have lunge squat. Plank skaters and swings. So this is back to lower body. So again, this can be done with or without weight. Lunge, squat. Plank skaters. And swings, which we just talked about. I'm hoping we did them in previous weeks. I feel like we did. Okay, swings. So, and then what's part two? Up and overs. Okay, so lunge squat. Like I mentioned, you don't have to use weight, but if you do, I kind of briefly just went over this in the other video where we had lunge press. One of the more important things about this is making sure that your feet are always in the proper position before moving on. So you're gonna put the weights up to your shoulders, lunge back, widen your stance, squat, 1, close your stance, lunge back, widen, squat, close, 2, lunge, squat, 3. So again, you want to make sure that your feet are always in the right position before you just run through it and continue on. So especially taking time to open up for that squat and then close back. Plank skaters. So this is kind of a stationary take on the skaters. I don't know if we did those in this program. I feel like we did. I feel like I remember talking about it, but I'm always confused. Like, I'm always doing workouts for the next month while recording workouts for this month. So between the two, I never really know what the hell's going on. But so if I ever like say I covered it and I didn't, just let me know. So plank skaters, you're gonna kind of be squatting and you're gonna be up on your toes, okay? You're gonna lift your butt a little bit, and what you're doing with your legs is this. One leg's shooting out to the side while the other one's bent. Come back to the middle, other side. Back to the middle, other side, back to the middle, other side, except you're on your hands, and it's like this, okay? So I'll show you from the back. So you're up on your toes, side to side, side to side, side to side. If you have to go slower, you can go slower. Okay? Sounds pretty self-explanatory. And then swings, like I was saying, I feel like we did this. And then when I talked about the overhead swings, I talked about it again. So I don't want to beat a dead horse, but basically, if you have a kettlebell, that's ideal. If you don't, you hold your dumbbell and you're doing the pendulum hinge at the hip, just like this. So your back comes down, it stays straight, you're not hunched or rounded, you're nice and straight. The weight comes between your legs, your butt is pushing to the wall behind you, your knees are slightly bent. When you stand up, you're gonna thrust forward, squeeze your butt cheeks, the weight comes up. So it's like a pendulum, your back is bending down, your butt is going behind you to the wall, okay? That's your swing. And then when you finish that, you're gonna move on to part 2, which is up and overs. So this is a ab exercise, but it does work your legs a little bit. So I like to mention in my videos, anytime we do like say up and overs or leg lifts or like a tuck or something like that, you might feel pain in the front, like upper part of your legs. That is your hip flexor. So if that is tight, it's going to hurt and you're probably gonna be confused. Like when the first time it was happening to me, I was like confused. I was like, why is it like hurting my legs so bad? Like I didn't understand. And then other people were like, yeah, I feel it too. And I was always really confused by that. Like I felt like I couldn't even work my abs because my legs hurt so bad. So it is common. And if it does happen, try to take a break, try to shake it off. If you can't get rid of it, just pick a different ab exercise, okay? Because sometimes that happens to me and it's just like, it gets so tight and it's like a weird area. If it's never happened to you before, you probably are gonna be like, what is that? But that's what it is, it's your hip flexor, and that just means it's really tight. So, you're gonna put a weight in front of you. This doesn't matter, it's just for like visual effect. You're gonna start on one side, you're gonna be leaning back on your hands, and you're just gonna lift your legs up and over the weight, up and over the weight, up and over the weight. So when you do this, you're crunching to lift your legs, and you're kind of crunching like in a V. Like when I do this, I tend to crunch so when I start, I'm laid back. When I lift, I kind of crunch my body in. Laid back, crunch, okay? Let me show you from the side. Trying to get my upper body. Okay, so see how I'm like kind of leaning back? When I go over, I crunch in, back, in, back. So it's kind of like a V up, in, back, okay? The way to make this easier, if that's hard for you, or say like your IT band, your hip flexors are tight, if you put a bend in your leg, like, what else have we done that's harder? I'm trying to think. I don't know if we've done anything else. But when you're like extended outward from your body, the farther extended you are, the harder it is. So like a good example is like ab holds. So I don't know if we've done these yet in this program or if you've been with me before. If you're doing an ab hold, the easiest is always everything close to your core. This is harder. This is harder. This is the hardest because everything is so stretched out. So it's the same idea. When your legs are like fully stretched out when you're going over, that's the hardest. If you kind of tuck your legs and go over like this, that's gonna be much easier, okay? So the farther and more straight your legs are out, the harder. The closer they are to your core, the easier, okay? So you can always try that. If it's too hard, or like I said, if your legs start to hurt you, tuck them in a little bit and see if that saves it at all. If it's like too far gone and it hurts really bad, just pick a different exercise.